2 weeks, it's clear one thing. James Robinson is the preferred back in Jacksonville. Last week, he had the clear snap percentage advantage over Etienne. 23 attempts, 64 yards. Not a great per rush average, only 2.8 per rush. But he did land in the end zone, 2 touchdowns for 2 weeks. Etienne has 13 touches so far to this point through the season. His best performance week 1, 6.5 fantasy points. Travis Etienne, is he just firmly on fantasy benches at this point?
I think he's got to be until you see more usage out of him, unless you don't have another option. I mean, if you drafted a lot of receivers and quarterback tight end early, you might have to start a guy like him. You might have invested in him to be your second running back. He did. I'm sorry. James Robinson is still the guy in Jacksonville. I mean, 2.8 yards a carry is a little rough, but 23 carries. That volume is just great. And he's a must start every week right now.
Meanwhile, Etienne only had 2.2 yards per carry. I should add, last week against the Colts. Shutout performance over the Colts, so they didn't really need great performances from either guy. But James Robinson, yeah, at this point, you have to say he's a running back too in fantasy. He's a guy that should be in every lineup if you have him on your roster because he's the one that's producing. He's playing like James Robinson from a couple of years ago. Positive regime change, you would say, for Doug Peterson, given what we're seeing from the Jaguars so far to this point. I think the fantasy owners should be encouraged by James Robinson. He was probably a guy that you were able to pick up for scraps this year. And in most drafts, his ADP was behind that of some kickers. So James Robinson, if you picked him up, you made the wise decision to do such. Etienne, if James Robinson was to miss any time, though, do you think that he's a guy that can be a bell cow back?
I don't, maybe. I honestly don't know what his ability to handle a full workload would look like. You would probably see another guy or two mixed in a little bit, but if Robinson got hurt, you would feel great starting Etienne as a running back.
So right now, this is a 60-40 split. Do you think it ever works back down to 50-50?
I'd be a little surprised right now. They've kind of got James Robinson as leaning more as the bell cow back, but Etienne looks like he could be a good weapon for them out of the backfield, catching the ball. He just hasn't been as effective as you would hope he would be on the ground.
Yeah, that's a completely fair observation. I wonder if there is opportunity more in this offense to get some more receiving work because, like you said, they're kind of splitting it relatively even in terms of who's actually catching passes through the 2 games at this point. Etienne has 5 receptions. You look at James Robinson and what he has in the receiving game. He has 3 receptions. So it's not like one person's lighting it up on third down either. You'd hope that they'd start to open up this offense a little bit more too as Trevor Lawrence starts to get comfortable in it, which if Trevor Lawrence takes another step in his development, then it looks like a better offense for both these guys. Etienne, like you said, he deserves to be on most fantasy benches. I guess the question starts to turn, though, when does he move from being a fantasy bench candidate to just an outright drop? How much leash are you giving Etienne?
Plenty. I wouldn't drop him on any team. He's got to be rostered in every league. If he's not, grab him. Obviously, he's just a James Robinson injury away, and James Robinson isn't the guy who's got a clean bill of health in his career.
So you're still banking on the blue chip prospect that was Etienne coming out of the draft?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't cut him. I just don't think he's a great start, and he's nothing more than a flex right now. Trevor Lawrence is throwing the ball a little better. Doug Peterson's definitely got a better offense running there in Jacksonville. Both of these guys have potential to be really good running backs down the stretch.
All righty, guys. Well, if you are invested in the Jaguars backfield, let us know below in the comments section. Let us know if you're worried about dropping any of these guys or trading for any of these guys. We'd like to kind of help you build out your roster. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, and stay safe, happy, and healthy from Juju and Andrew. We'll see you next time.